I briefly met a visitor from Ghana in 1995 when they were over for the big tercentenary parades, but I wasn't talking to him in terms of how it's organised in Ghana, so I really know almost nothing about the institution in Ghana. I just don't know what to expect. It's difficult to know what will bind them together, and I think that's, for me, one of the most interesting things to be discovered, just what makes them tick in the sense of being members of the Orange institution in Ghana.
Orangism first began in Nigeria. In 1907, the first lodge was established. Some people say that it was probably Irish missionaries that introduced the lodge as an idea into Nigeria in the first place. Other people suggest that it was in fact Orange men who were part of the British military stationed in Nigeria in the time who introduced the lodge to Nigeria. So it's quite likely that the lodge did start as a European lodge and Africans later joined. Orange men in Ghana tend to be members of churches which were first founded by missionaries. I found that the main motivation was to do with religion, an interest in studying the Bible and interest in promoting the faith. But members also have an interest in the organisation as a fraternity.
Scatter the souls to the corners of the earth. Teach us some more about humility. Oh, can't we see? We've denied ourselves our blessings. In this time we learned our lessons that we.
CCK, can you tell me how many lodges there are in Ghana?
At the moment we have about 22 lodges, male and female. That is aside the junior lodges. Before you become an Orange man, a sufficient search be made about you, your person.
Yes.
We got to satisfy ourselves that you are a Protestant.
Yes.
And that you have no linkage. You are not a Catholic who is trying to enter into a rank.
Qatar was about 2.5 hours, 3 hours drive from Accra, and from when we left Accra until we got to Qatar, the countryside was almost completely flat. But as we came into Qatar, they met us a couple of miles outside it and took us at a road junction to visit the local MP. One of the chaps who almost the main activist in Qatar works in a local bank, and he again was a person to whom some respect was shown, but the subject transpired that he's a local chief, a clan chief. I'm really delighted to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to be here. And are these all members of the lodge?
Yes.
I suppose what surprised me too, but a bit like the Orange Order at home, there appeared to be a broad social mix of the people who were members. And so there were some of the people who were well dressed and appeared to have a bit of money, and then there were some others that had put on their best clothes, but clearly these had been repaired and stitched many, many times over the years, and it was very obvious there wasn't a lot of money about.
Nice to meet you. Hello. Hello. Thank you very much. Very pleased to meet you. Kofi, yeah. Very nice to meet you, Kofi.
Yeah.
Have you got an election coming up?
Yes. Yes.
Guinness internationally recognized.
So how is the Irish society coping with your drum crane matches?
Yeah. It's been quite peaceful for about the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
But the situation is still not resolved. There's still a standoff.
I was slightly surprised, yes, I didn't expect it, but it's something that we would be asked about a lot when we're abroad.
It shows you the international attention there is on parading issues at home.
It shows you the power of the internet.
Political reasons.
One of my uncles was also a member of the Orange Order, so I knew that they have an order. in the area.
And the red hand of Ulster carrying a sword, which has symbolic meaning for us in our ritual.
Yeah. As a parliamentarian, the numbers count. So, as much as I'm able to work with, variety of groups, then I think I'm building my my electoral base. Yes.
I do hope that you'll find some time or some occasion to be able to wear them.
I'm wearing it this weekend.
The next morning we were up at about 5 o'clock, left the hotel at 6, and this was to go and visit a slightly outlying lodge. It was about an hour and a half, 2 hours drive away in a town called Anyako. Very extreme poverty. I mean, I imagine in that town, in fact I just can't recall if there was any electricity at all. There may have been some in the houses. I mean, I imagine almost no one had a bank account. There were no cars that I saw. Subsistence fishing rather than farming, and just no shops. I don't recall I saw any shops on it at all. What does this say?
Donated to Heroes of Tarso,
Yes.
LOL, Royal Orange, by Worthy Master CYT.
Yeah. And Heroes of Tarso,
Yeah.
That's the lodge in this town?
Yeah.
That's the name
In
of the
this
lodge?
town,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Main Lodge.
That's the men's lodge?
Yeah.
And then do you also have another lodge?
Doctors of Tarso here too.
Daughters of Tarso?
Yeah, and
yes.
Heroes of Tarso, that's the juvenile.
The juvenile lodge?
Yeah.
So you have 3 lodges?
Lodges here.
A men's lodge,
Ladies Lodge.
a ladies' lodge.
And a juvenile.
Ah, right, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very good. And where do you meet?
At the chapel.
In the chapel?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And is it a Methodist chapel or a
No,
Presbyterian
Presbyterian,
chapel?
yeah.
Okay, very good. They don't have any cars, and it's in the Delta region where they've travelled by boats for thousands of years. And so what they did, they rented a boatman, a large boat that held about 30 people maybe. I was happy enough everybody else was doing it, I was a bit concerned about the depth of the water maybe, because I went out, but it turns out this delta, there's almost no deep water in it anywhere. The boat trip was meant to take about an hour and 3/4 to 2 hours, but in fact it took about 4 hours, and that's just the way it is. That's what you accept. And in Africa, I have to say, and we saw this throughout, there would not be as much emphasis on punctuality as there would be back at home.
What does the Orange Order mean to you?
The Orange Order means religiously to me is we love one another, help one another, and then see to the welfare of the church. Right now, more people are not coming. Why? Because some time ago, they blended all lodges to be not Christian. Yeah. And those who are saying those things, they have never joined it. They don't know the left and right in the lodge. So we started telling them, come and see what we do there.
The churches are saying that there are practices in various lodges. They're not specific about the Orange Order, but there are practices which they feel are not Christian and not compatible with Christianity. And they would also argue that lodge activity is really taking lodge members away from the church, that they should be using all their spare energy to further the church rather than another organisation.
The lodge meeting was meant to start at 11 o'clock on Saturday, but in fact didn't start until about 3 o'clock. And just nobody appeared to arrive at 11. They just came I don't know, when the Spirit moved them. And seeing all the flags and everything, well, I mean, it's very reminiscent of home, for to go into an Orange Hall at home and see a row of maybe 4 flags at the front.
What do you remember most about visit to Northern Ireland?
What I remember most is the day we landed.
Oh, right.
There was an attack by the IRA from the airport.
Oh, right.
There was an attack as we were going to the hotel.
All right.
There was an attack near the Parkview Hotel.
Right, okay.
You see. But we met the scene and they couldn't, when they saw that we were blacks, they wondered who we were.
Right, okay.
Some people say that the Orange Order is anti-Catholic. Is that correct?
In Ghana, it's not perceived as it is in England. And I suppose if people say the Orange Order is anti-Catholic, it might be due to the history of the Orange Order. But in Ghana, both Catholics and other religions, they live together. We even intermarry among ourselves.
Right here, our Protestant reverends do not understand the meaning of the Orange Order. So we want to expand it so that we train them in it, and then they grasp it as how the Roman Catholics have got their Knight of Marshall, Knight of St. John. They embrace it. So we want the Protestant churches to embrace the Orange Lodge as such. Since they haven't been to any lodge, they thought we are criminals, or we are juju men, those who eat in the night, and so on and so forth.
For the first time, I had the first ever orange man from that part of the world to be in our midst. Brother, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much. Shall I speak now?
Not now.
No. Okay.
Appropriately, he'll be addressing you. Probably at the end of the ceremony. Thank you very much.
The installation that they staged for you, I mean, how comfortable were you with that taking place on TV cameras? I mean, that's not something that would happen over here.
There's nothing really secret or about what happened there. You know, people think that the Orange Order is a secretive institution, but if you go and look at the House of Commons records from 1826, a lot of our ritual was put on the record then by Daniel O'Connell in the House of Commons.
What do you think was the frame of mind of the 2 recruits?
I had been chatting to them beforehand, and they'd been in the juniors, and in Africa the juniors are not initiated into the Orange Order until they're perhaps well into their 20s. The rule is actually they have to be financially independent before they're initiated, and so they were fairly well experienced in Orange matters, so I don't think there was anything of a surprise to them.
In the beginning, God created heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the water. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was.
People in Ghana understand Orange Order in the past. But it came to a stage that they lack understanding just because of these charismatic churches who refuse to learn. But now that we are breaking new grounds, we are going into them by foot, by personality. We invite them into some of our ceremonies. We are now making our ceremonies more open. We are seeing a lot of changes, and we are going back to the former life when people understand that it is togetherness, sharing one meal together, that makes the Orange Order.
Well, there were visitors there from Togo, and they don't speak English at all. By using a combination of languages, everybody was eventually able to speak to everyone else.
I've got a County Down accent that's perhaps a little difficult to understand. But first of all, I say a few words in French. Pour mes amis et mes frères de Togo, pour moi, c'est sûr, c'est un grand honneur. c'est un jour spécial. C'est la première visite pour moi avec mes frères qui fait les réunions des loges en français.
We have an adage in our traditional area that says, when you are going to a church and you meet a white, you have to return, just because you have seen your God. So anytime we see a white man in among us, we cherish their coming, and knowing that he's coming from the heart of Origism, that is Ulster, we know today we are all Ulster men and women.
From the Orange Lodge and the people in the various districts paraded in, I mean, it all just started, and there appears to be spontaneous singing from different parts of the church. I think what happens is that if the ladies' committee in the church decide they would like to contribute to the service, they just start, not necessarily part of the planned service, but they start and they sing a song or something. And then perhaps the choir will sing a song, and then the men's group will sing a song. And then the people in the Orange Order, they had to contribute as well, and so they sang a song. I've been at church services, other church services, where people have been, you know, dancing in the aisles and breaking into, you know, starting to sing in not a structured manner, and I felt slightly embarrassed by that. But out there, I mean, the same thing happening, it just felt very, very natural. There was several bouts of people dancing as they sang, almost more swaying than dancing. And this appeared to be something that's intimately connected with whatever hymn or song they're singing. And it happened for some songs, but not for others. So when the Orange Order one came on, and well, I was sitting at the front amongst them, I didn't have any real option, I had to do it.
This is my first visit to Ghana, and it has been a wonderful, wonderful experience for me. The kindness and the openness and the friendliness of everyone has greatly touched me, and I thank you for that. When I go home and I report back to our lodge members, our Orange Order members in Ireland, I hope that we can set up some sort of a support organisation.
Now that they have gone closer to us, we believe that they could assist us do a whole lot of things here. We mentioned some of them to him already. We talk about transport for our people. We talk about halls that we are in progress and we want to complete them. If they could extend their hand to us to finish all that, then of course they'll be of great service to us.
We can help you, and also that you can help us, because you know we've got a lot to learn from the Orange Order in Ghana as well. Perhaps you don't think that, but I strongly believe that there are things that we can learn from you in terms of your attitude, your good church attendance, the humility and the honesty amongst the people here, the friendliness and the openness. Believe me, we've got things to learn from you.
Individually, we can be a member of a political party. You can associate yourself with any party that you feel like joining. But the Lodge per se should not be seen playing a role as an organization involved in politics in this country. No. Not only in the Orange Lodge, all other lodges are not allowed. That is why in our lodge room, we are not allowed to talk politics. It's forbidden. For Orange Order in Ireland, I would only say that they should smoke the peace pipe now. All Christians of whatever denomination should just come together and live as brothers. The fighting should be over.
The Orange Order in Northern Ireland and our members have got a lot to learn from our brethren in Ghana. I would find it just impossible for me to come home and just forget about those people and not try and do something for them. Humility as to the straitened circumstances in which these people live. We could learn a lot about the decadence and the ingratitude of Western society, and I just wish, that I could bring lots of our members out to Ghana and let them exchange places with their brethren in Ghana for a month. It would be a life-changing experience for them all.